Just a few decades ago, the internet was merely a convenient library where we searched for information, sent emails, and occasionally chatted on forums. Today, however, it has transformed into something far greater. A mirror that not only reflects, but also shapes our worldview. Every click, every view, every reaction gradually creates an invisible yet strong digital shell around us, determining what we will see tomorrow. This transition from a passive tool to an active architect of our views happens so imperceptibly that many of us don't even realize the scale of the changes. We find ourselves in a world where algorithms know us better than we know ourselves. They anticipate our interests, adapt to our habits, and subtly direct our attention into specific channels. The question is no longer whether the internet influences the formation of our worldview, but rather how deep this influence is, and whether we can maintain control over our own information space in an era of digital abundance. Remember the early days of the internet? Static pages with flickering GIFs, primitive chats, and clunky forums. Back then, in the Web 1.0 era, we were merely visitors to a digital library, silent readers, occasionally leaving comments in guestbooks. The internet of the 90s and early 2000s was an information repository where people sought knowledge, but rarely became its creators. However, over the past 20 years, a quiet revolution has taken place, changing the very essence of the global network. Passive consumption has been replaced by an era of active participation. We transitioned from reading to writing, from viewing to creating, from solitary searching to collective creativity. The emergence of social platforms, blogs, and video hosting services turned every user into a potential author, capable of reaching a million-strong audience with a single click. This transformation, from Web 1.0 to Web 2.0, became a turning point. The internet ceased to be merely a technology and transformed into a social environment shaping our perception of the world. When Facebook appeared in 2004 and YouTube a year later, few anticipated that these platforms would change the way billions of people receive and process information. Along with them came personalization algorithms, which began to subtly filter content, showing us what, in their opinion, we would like. This created unprecedented comfort in information consumption, but at the same time laid the foundation for an invisible limitation of our information horizon. With the advent of smartphones, the internet became truly ubiquitous. We gained the ability to create and share content at any moment, from anywhere in the world. Social platforms evolved into complex ecosystems where our attention became the main currency. And the more time we spent online, the more precise the algorithms became in predicting our preferences. Behind every action you take on the internet stands an invisible observer, an algorithm. These digital mechanisms act as unseen curators, deciding what information you'll see next. But how exactly do they function? Imagine an algorithm as a complex mathematical formula that constantly analyzes your behavior. Every video watched, every like, every second spent lingering on a post, all of this is data that is collected and processed. When you watch a video about cooking pasta, the algorithm makes a note. This user likes Italian cuisine. If you frequently read articles of a certain political persuasion, the system decides that this particular viewpoint interests you. Technically, this happens through a system of weights and metrics. YouTube algorithms, for example, track not only what you watch, but also for how long, whether you share content or comment on it. Facebook analyzes your social connections, the time spent viewing certain posts, and even the speed at which you scroll through your feed. Search engines consider your geolocation, search history, and even the type of device you use to access the internet. All of this creates a unique digital portrait that becomes more accurate with each of your actions. It's important to understand. The goal of these algorithms is not to broaden your horizons, but to maximize engagement. They show you content that is most likely to hold your attention. And what holds attention best? What resonates with your existing beliefs, evokes strong emotions, or confirms your biases? This is how a personalized information environment is formed. Your own version of the internet, which can radically differ from what other users see. Imagine a room where every word you utter bounces off the walls multiple times, returning to you as an amplified echo. This is precisely how digital echo chambers work. Virtual spaces where we only hear what resonates with our own beliefs. In a world overflowing with information, these cozy corners of like-mindedness offer us a sense of belonging and confirmation of our own righteousness. When algorithms notice your interest in a particular topic, they begin to surround you with similar content. Gradually, an information bubble forms around you, where each new message only reinforces your existing views. Such closed communities can be found everywhere, from interest groups to political forums, from fan clubs to scientific communities. Psychologists call this phenomenon confirmation bias. We unconsciously seek out information that aligns with what we already believe. Echo chambers are particularly noticeable in political discussions. Liberals communicate with liberals, conservatives with conservatives. Each group consumes its own news, follows its own opinion leaders, and rarely encounters alternative viewpoints. Over time, views become radicalized, and the opposing side is demonized. But the problem extends far beyond politics. Anti-vaxxer communities, conspiracy theorists, extremist groups, all function on a similar principle. Within such groups, even the most absurd theories receive support and development, and critical thinking is replaced by group validation. The danger of echo chambers is that they create an illusion of diverse opinions, when in reality, we hear the same ideas, merely rephrased by different voices. We begin to believe that our worldview is shared by the majority, when in fact, we have simply surrounded ourselves with like-minded individuals. Why do we so stubbornly cling to comfort in the digital space? This question lies at the heart of understanding how our worldview is shaped on the modern internet. Our brain is an amazing tool, evolved to conserve energy and make quick decisions. When we encounter information that contradicts our beliefs, cognitive dissonance arises, a psychological discomfort that the brain seeks to eliminate immediately. It's easier to accept information that confirms our views than to reevaluate an entire belief system. This mechanism, called confirmation bias, unconsciously makes us filter information, discarding inconvenient facts and absorbing those that align with our worldview. The digital environment perfectly exploits this psychological feature. Algorithms that track our preferences create a comfortable informational space around us, where rarely anything causes discomfort or doubt. We immerse ourselves in a pleasant informational bath, where each new piece of content only strengthens our conviction in our own rightness. Added to this is social conformity, the desire to fit in with a group. When we see that many people share a certain viewpoint, we tend to adopt that position, even if we initially doubted it. In the digital space, this manifests through likes, reposts, comments. All these mechanisms of social approval shape our behavior and beliefs. This is especially evident among young people, for whom digital consumption becomes a way of constructing their own identity. Choosing certain information sources, bloggers, communities, turns into a statement about oneself, a way to say to the world, "I am like this." Our digital preferences become an extension of our personality, and abandoning them is perceived as a threat to self-identification. The paradox is that in striving for comfort, we voluntarily limit our horizons. By choosing the informational path of least resistance, we deprive ourselves of the opportunity to grow through overcoming intellectual challenges. Digital comfort becomes a gilded cage for our thinking. We live in an era where lies have become high-tech. Modern methods of disinformation are no longer just fake news in newspapers. They are complex technological constructs capable of deceiving even the most attentive user. One of the most alarming advancements is deepfake technology, which allows for the creation of videos where real people say and do things that never happened. Imagine a political leader delivering a speech they never gave, or a celebrity participating in a scandalous video that never existed. This technology is developing at a frightening pace. While early deepfakes could be recognized with the naked eye, today even experts sometimes struggle to distinguish a fake from the original. No less dangerous are automated bots, armies of fake accounts controlled by artificial intelligence. They create the illusion of widespread support for certain ideas, shape trends, and influence public opinion. During the presidential elections in the United States in 2016, thousands of bots spread disinformation, reaching millions of users. Studies showed that false news spread 6 times faster than truthful news. Targeted disinformation campaigns pose a particular danger. Using user data, manipulators create personalized fakes that exploit the vulnerabilities of specific groups of people. During the referendum on the United Kingdom's withdrawal from the European Union, different groups of voters received contradictory messages, but each was perfectly tailored to their fears and hopes. The consequences of such campaigns extend far beyond the virtual world. In Myanmar, disinformation on Facebook provoked real violence against minorities. In India, false messages on WhatsApp led to the lynching of innocent people. Disinformation 2.0 is not just a lie. It is a weapon of mass influence capable of destroying democratic institutions, inciting conflicts, and undermining trust in facts themselves. The modern internet has imperceptibly transformed into a powerful tool for social division. What began as a global unifying network has paradoxically become a catalyst for societal polarization. Research from Stanford University shows that over the past 15 years, political polarization in developed countries has almost doubled. And this process directly correlates with the spread of social networks and personalized news feeds. The mechanism of this division is simple and frighteningly effective. Algorithmic filters create a comfortable information environment for us, where we primarily see what we already agree with. Gradually, our views are not just strengthened, they are radicalized. Moderate positions become more extreme, nuances disappear, and the opposing side is perceived as the embodiment of evil. Researchers from MIT found that social media users who regularly consume politically charged content significantly shift towards more radical positions within their spectrum over the course of a year. A particularly alarming symptom has been the loss of the ability to dialogue between groups with different views. We don't just disagree with each other, we stop understanding the language of our opponents. Their arguments seem absurd to us, and their motives suspicious. Sociologist Jonathan Haidt calls this phenomenon moral dumbfounding, the inability of different groups to speak the same moral language. Statistics confirm this trend. According to data from the Pew Research Center, 70% of Americans cannot agree even on basic facts, let alone their interpretation. Polarization extends beyond politics. It penetrates issues of science, education, and healthcare. Vaccination, climate change, economic models. Everything becomes a battlefield where compromise is impossible. Virtual conflicts spill over into real life. Families break up over political disagreements. Friendships are severed. Communities are fragmented. We are not just building different information bubbles. We are creating parallel realities with different facts, values, and languages. Behind every click, View and search query are not just algorithms, but entire corporations with clear business interests. Tech giants, Facebook, Google, YouTube, TikTok, have built empires whose economy is based on one resource: your attention. Their business model is simple and ingenious. The longer you stay on the platform, the more ads they can show you, the higher the profit. In this system, algorithms are not neutral tools but high-precision weapons in the fight for your time. When an engineer in Silicon Valley writes code for a recommendation system, their task is not to broaden your horizons, but to maximize engagement metrics. Studies show that content that evokes strong emotions, outrage, anger, fear, retains users most effectively. It's no surprise that such content gets an advantage in algorithmic feeds. Former Facebook employee Frances Haugen, in her testimony to the U.S. Congress, revealed internal company research confirming that the platform's algorithms systematically promote polarizing content, knowing its negative impact on society. The ethical responsibility of tech companies is becoming a central issue of the digital age. When a YouTube algorithm directs a teenager from an educational video to extremist content, who is responsible? When TikTok's recommendation systems shape a distorted body image in teenage girls, leading to eating disorders, can this be considered merely a side effect of a neutral algorithm? Digital determinism, the belief that our behavior and worldview are predetermined by technology, becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy when we refuse to demand greater transparency and ethical standards from tech companies in the development of influence algorithms. In a world where information cascades upon us in an endless stream, critical thinking becomes not just a useful skill, but a true lifesaver. It is the ability to ask uncomfortable questions, to doubt the obvious, and to see hidden motives behind flashy headlines. But how does one develop this skill in an era where every piece of news competes for our attention? Start with a simple habit. Slow down. When you encounter information that evokes strong emotions, pause. Ask yourself, why does this news elicit such a reaction from me? Who is its author? What evidence is presented? Learn to recognize manipulation tactics, emotionally charged headlines, lack of source citations, generalizations like "everyone knows" or "scientists have proven." Verify information through several independent sources, especially if it confirms your beliefs. This is precisely where we are most vulnerable to deception. The most important tool of critical thinking is the ability to assess the credibility of a source. Ask yourself, what is the reputation of this media outlet? Does the author have a conflict of interest? What is their qualification in this topic? Separate facts from opinions and interpretations. Learn to notice logical fallacies and cognitive biases, both in others' arguments and in your own reasoning. Practice the steelman position, the ability to accurately and honestly present an opponent's viewpoint, even if you fundamentally disagree with it. This skill not only strengthens critical thinking, but also builds bridges of understanding between different information bubbles. Remember, the goal of critical thinking is not to become a cynic who rejects all information, but to learn to navigate the ocean of information, distinguishing the gold of facts from the dross of manipulation. In an era of digital oversaturation, information hygiene becomes not a luxury, but a necessity. Just as we care for our physical health, it is equally important to maintain informational health. Start by auditing your digital consumption. Analyze how much time you spend in different applications and what emotions they evoke in you. Screen time tracking apps can be your allies in this process. The first step to a healthy information diet is diversification of sources. Consciously include platforms and authors with various political and ideological positions in your media diet. If you hold liberal views, regularly read quality conservative publications, and vice versa. This does not mean consuming overtly toxic or extremist content. It's about expanding the range of reasonable viewpoints. Create a system of filters for your information flow. Unsubscribe from sources that regularly evoke negative emotions in you without a constructive outcome. Use tools to block distracting websites and applications at certain times. Practice digital detoxification. Set aside days or at least hours of complete disconnection from the network. This time can be dedicated to reading paper books, communicating with loved ones, or walks in nature. Such periods of digital silence help the brain to reboot and restore the ability for deep concentration. Introduce the practice of conscious media consumption into your life. Before opening a social network, ask yourself, why am I doing this? What do I want to gain? Set specific times for checking news. For example, 20 minutes in the morning and evening, rather than constantly scrolling through feeds throughout the day. Create healthy informational habits in your environment. Discuss media literacy principles with friends and family. Share findings of quality information sources. Remember, our informational environment is what we create ourselves, through conscious choices every day. Digital citizenship is not just a fancy term, but a new model of existence in the information space, demanding a conscious approach to our actions. Every like, repost, or comment is not just a click, but a vote that we cast for certain information, amplifying its dissemination. We have all become unwitting editors of the global information agenda. When we share unverified news, we are not simply forwarding text. We become accomplices in an information chain that can lead to real consequences. Recall instances of mass panic due to fake messages in messengers or reputations destroyed by thoughtless reposts. Responsible digital citizenship begins with a simple principle: verify before you share. It's like environmental awareness, only in the information space. We are responsible for what we pollute the common digital air with. Countering disinformation is another crucial aspect of digital citizenship. This doesn't necessarily mean becoming a digital activist. Sometimes it's enough simply not to participate in the dissemination of dubious content, or to politely point out an inaccuracy in a conversation with friends. Collective responsibility for the health of the information environment works on the principle that many small actions create big changes. Digital citizenship also manifests itself in the creation of a positive online culture. In a world where toxicity and aggression often become the norm of communication, choosing respectful dialogue is also a civic stance. The ability to listen to an opponent, acknowledge the right to a different point of view, and conduct a discussion without resorting to personal attacks. These skills are no less important today than the ability to recognize fakes. We build digital society through our daily choices, and it is up to us whether it becomes a space for growth or a battlefield of information. What will our digital reality be like tomorrow? We stand on the threshold of a new era in the relationship between humans, technology, and information. Tech companies are already experimenting with algorithms that don't just show what will hold our attention, but offer diverse content that broadens horizons. For example, the Flipboard platform has begun implementing a contrary viewpoint feature, which intentionally displays material that doesn't align with your usual preferences. Legislative regulation of digital platforms is also gaining momentum. With the adoption of the Digital Services Act, the European Union has obliged large platforms to disclose the principles of their algorithms and give users the option to disable content personalization. These are the first steps towards creating a more transparent and user-controlled information environment. Educational initiatives in media literacy are becoming part of school curricula in many countries. Finland, recognized as a leader in this field, has included critical evaluation of information in its basic curriculum from the first grades of school. The result is that Finnish school children demonstrate the highest resilience to disinformation. But technology and laws are just tools. The foundation of a healthy digital future must be a new information ethic. Its key principles are simple, but require conscious choice from each of us. Diversity. The deliberate inclusion of various, sometimes inconvenient viewpoints in one's information diet. Skepticism. Healthy doubt about any information, especially that which confirms our beliefs. Responsibility. Understanding that every action we take online shapes the overall information environment. Slowing down. A willingness to pause and consider information before reacting to it or sharing it further. These principles are not just abstract ideals, but practical guidelines for navigating the complex information landscape of the future. Our digital tomorrow is created by our choices today. Whether the internet will be a tool for expanding consciousness or a mechanism for limiting it depends on each of us. Informational freedom, like any other, requires awareness, responsibility, and constant effort to maintain it. In a world where algorithms know more and more about us, maintaining control over our own worldview becomes not just an intellectual exercise, but a necessary condition for preserving human autonomy.